She does not want. So after Jasper changes her mood, she questions Jasper, and then she says, "No fair with the mood control." And he says, "Sorry, Bella, happy." And then he says, "Never mind," because he's annoyed. And then we cut back to her and Edward. And Edward says, "You can't trust vampires. Trust me." Thought you said you can't trust vampires. Anyway, so we cut to her in English class. I think it was English. With Edward in the back row of the students, I guess. I don't know. And then she talks to Edward in a low voice, but the teacher still hears it. Kind of weird, but whatever. So Edward tells her that he could have prevented what happened in the first Twilight movie, which is weird that they bring that up. He said he could have went to Italy to provoke the Volturi. And then we go back to the house and he explains who the Volturi is to her when she looks at a picture in the hallway and she notices Carlisle. And then we all know that he lived a decade, I guess, with them after becoming a vampire. But their ways are refined, as he says. Basically, they kill people. Innocent people. Which is weird. But, yeah. So, we cut to the birthday party, which Bella clearly told Alice that she does not want. What happened next? Let's see. She hugs her family members meaning Carlisle, Esme, and then Emmett. Well, Bella receives a gift from Emmett, and she shakes the box and realizes the box is empty. And then Emmett makes a comment saying that he already installed it in her truck. Emmett makes a joke about the truck being a piece of crap, which it is. But she says, don't hate the truck, which she actually likes, which, again, is weird. And then she receives a gift from Rosalie, and Rosalie reveals it's a necklace. And then she receives a gift from Carlisle and Esme, which she gets a paper cut. And then Jasper, of all people, feels the bloodlust. He's a freaking empath, guys. Really, Jasper is an empath. So he feels Edward's bloodlust, Alice's bloodlust, not Carlisle, Emmett and Rosalie's bloodlust, right? See, this is why Jasper's my favorite character, because he didn't act on anything but Edward's bloodlust. Yeah, he felt everybody's bloodlust but Carlisle's. That shows how Jasper is not the weak link in the family, which he clearly thinks that he is. And lo and behold, Major comes out. He acts on Edward's bloodlust, for God's sakes. I mean, according to Edward, that Bella is his singer, right? Which means that her blood is stronger and potent to him. So he's feeling everyone's bloodlust but Carlisle's, but he feels Edward's the most. And Edward's eyes darken, his eyes goes to pitch black. Jasper does not act on anyone else's bloodlust but Edward's. This is why Jasper, Emmett, Rosalie, essentially everybody's my favorite character in Twilight but Edward and Alice, which is weird. Anyway, Jasper he attacks Bella, and then Emmett and Carlisle hold Jasper back. And Alice goes to Jasper saying to shush, it's just blood. And then she pauses, and I love how every vampire in the movie slowly turns around to look at Bella, because apparently Edward had pushed Bella so hard with force to where she backed up against the wall and hurt herself. Which I blame Alice for not preventing this from happening, because I believe in the book it said that Jasper was going hunting, but Alice stopped him. I don't know. But yeah. So we cut to the next day. Well, actually, no. Carlisle attends to Bella's wounds and tells her that Edward believes he's a monster and does not have a soul. But the rest of the family, except for Jasper, thinks that he has a soul. Jasper thinks the same thing. But then again, yeah, they go home. Well, Edward drops Bella off at home, and Edward's annoyed with either Jasper or himself. I don't know. But Bella's like, turn me. Like, it's okay to feel that kind of bloodlust for me and to turn me. Why she didn't let James do it, I don't know. But we skip to the next day, and Bella just comes home from school. Edward's not at school. None of the Cullens are at school. So Bella goes home, and then Edward is just standing there, like. And then he asks Bella to take a walk with him. See, this is why we're getting into the reason why I don't like the second movie or the book. So Edward leads her into the woods, where she's clearly like minutes away from her house. I don't understand how she got lost in the woods, but whatever. Well, actually, I do understand how she got lost in the woods, but who cares? We're not to that part yet. But Edward tells her that the family is leaving. She quickly, asks him if she can go with him. And he does not want that. He says, I don't want you. And then he pauses and he says to come. Meaning he doesn't want him. He does not want her to come with him, because she's not a vampire. Like, dude, you could have let Jasper change her. But whatever. So yeah. So Edward leaves her in the woods, and then she decides to, for some reason, chase after him. Even though in the last movie, he can outrun anybody. And at the baseball scene in the last one, Esme clearly tells Bella that Edward's really fast. But she still decides to chase after him. So Jasper goes to Texas with, I think, Alice. I don't know. Edward goes to Italy to provoke the Volturi. Rosalie goes away with Emmett, and Carlisle goes away with Esme. So the rest of the movie is her not being able to sleep. So Sam finds her in the woods. The rest of the movie is her not being able to sleep, screaming herself awake. And then Charlie, my other favorite character, by the way, besides Jasper, besides everybody else but Edward and Alice, Charlie decides that he wants to send Bella to Jacksonville with her mom and Phil. Which she does not really like that idea. So she just tells Charlie that she's going shopping, which if you've seen my last video, rant, she hates shopping. So she tells him that she's going shopping with Jessica. And yeah. So the next scene, what does she do? She goes to the movies with Jessica to see a zombie movie. I think it was a zombie movie. Yeah. And then she sees people on motorcycles, and she instantly recognizes them as the people from the first movie. Which is dumb because, yeah. So she gets on the back of a random dude's motorcycle, and she rides. She realizes that she needs to have adrenaline to see Edward again. Which, Edward left you. And to see him again, she decides that she needs to do reckless things. So when she leaves the movies and she recognizes these guys, she sees Edward's ghost, I think. I don't know. Apparition? I don't know. But yeah, Edward tells her to leave and not come back. She does not listen because she's stubborn. And she goes to the back of the random dude's motorcycle and she talks to herself, which she's really talking to Edward about him saying that she's not going to see him again. So she does something dumb and she keeps saying Edward's apparition. And then she yells, stop. Because she sees Edward again. And then she gets off the random dude's motorcycle and goes back to Jessica. And Jessica is like, are you stupid? Yes, she is. So they go home. And she wants to talk to Jacob. And she can't because Jacob's hurt. Obviously. So she tries to call Jacob. And then she reads his letter. Well, that was in the third movie. I'm trying not to get ahead of myself. But, yeah. She goes to the reservation to see Jacob, and she sees these motorcycles, and she puts them on the back of a truck. She goes to the reservation to see Jacob and ask him to fix these with her. And he's in his garage fixing his car, I think, called the Rabbit. I don't know. Dumb name. But anyways, she sits with Jacob, and then Pizza comes. And she gets up and throws pizza at him, and it magically turns into a wrench, which is weird. She sees Quill and Bree, and they bond. And then Quill and Bree stop hanging with them because of Sam. And yeah, the whole movie's a mess. Jacob stops hanging out with her because of Sam. This whole thing has to do with Sam. What happened? She goes after Jacob because he has mono, which is weird. But she goes after Jacob after his fever, I guess. His mono. And she doesn't like that he's hanging out with Sam. And he says Sam is trying to help him. And then he says, you want somebody to blame the filthy bloodsuckers, because apparently werewolves only show about the phase when vampires are near. So he runs to Sam, which Sam is waiting at the end of the woods, but at the beginning of the woods, with Paul and Jared, I guess. I don't know. I think that's Jared next to Sam and Paul. I don't know. But anyways, he runs to Sam, and they go back to Sam's place, I think. Or they chase after Victoria once again. And they chase after Victoria to the Canadian border. So she goes home. Actually, she runs to the meadow where she meets Laurent. Dude. Laurent tells her that Victoria wants to kill her for killing James. And she had nothing to do with that. She tells Laurent that the Cullens do protect her still. Which clearly, if anyone can see, it's a lie. But whatever. Edward's apparition tells her to lie. And then he tells her to lie better, because apparently she cannot lie. So the werewolves come out of the woods and destroy Rant. And yeah. So Bella runs home to tell her father that she saw wolves in the woods. And he's all angry, mad at her because she was in the woods when she clearly was supposed to stay out of the woods because of Billy's warning in the beginning when he came over. What happened next? Oh, she wants to know what's wrong with Jacob. So she goes to his house, and Billy answers the door, and she opens the door wider, and she demands to see Jacob, and who clearly is in his room sleeping after patrolling last night. I guess that's what they were doing. I don't know. So, and then she sees the three boys out of the window. And she goes to Sam, I think, and pushes him and asks him, what did he do to her friend? And he points somewhere and says, easy. And then Paul, the angry wolf, the one that has anger issues, for some reason, I guess because he's away from Rachel, I don't know. But anyways, she slaps Paul. Paul's body shakes. Shakes vigorously, by the way. So, and then Jacob comes running out of the... Jacob, I guess he senses Paul's anger. And then he comes out of his room and jumps over the railing, which is awesome. And then he tells Bella to run. And then Jacob phases, which is my favorite part of the second movie, by the way. Let's see. Oh, then Jacob and Paul get into a werewolf fight, which is kind of dumb, but whatever. Sam tells Jared and Jared and Bree to take Bella back to Emily's place, which is Sam's fiance. They take her back to Emily's place and they tell her not to stare at Emily's face. Because apparently when Sam got angry, Emily was standing too close and she got scratched by Sam. So she has 3 marks on the left side of her face. So they enter her house and Emily asks, who's this? And either Jared or Embry answers her and says, Bella Swan, who else? And then she says, so you're the vampire girl. And then Bella says, so you're a little wolf girl. And then Emily says, I guess so. I'm engaged to one. And then they have muffins and talk about werewolf stuff. And then that's when Jacob and Paul and Sam come in. Sam was like, Jake was right, you're good with weird. And then Jacob and Paul come in, and Jacob wants to talk to Bella, and then Bella realizes that Bella asked Jacob about being a werewolf. And then she has a problem with him being a werewolf, which he was supposed to be alpha, but didn't want the responsibility of being alpha. So he gave the responsibility to Sam, because he's been a werewolf longer, I guess. I don't know. So he drives her home, and they talk for a little bit, and then Bella goes inside. They talk about Victoria being there, and Bella goes inside and goes to sleep. And then the next day, she goes with Jacob to the house again, and they talk for a little bit. Well, no, my bad. The next day, Bella decides to go cliff diving, which she's not supposed to go to. She's not supposed to go. And she jumps off the cliff, the highest cliff, might I add, and she pummels to the water. She falls in the water, and she sees Victoria, and she tries to make it to surface or whatever, but the storm that's happening is way too strong and keeps pulling her back under the water. Where she keeps seeing Victoria's red hair, and she hits her head, and Jacob pulls her out, and then he does CPR, and Sam tells Jacob to get Bella back to her house because Harry Clearwater had a heart attack and died, essentially. So Jacob gives Bella warm clothes and a ride home, and there she sees whose car? Carlisle. She sees Carlisle's car and thinks they're back for good. So she goes to her house, inside her house, and she sees Alice. Alice asks her how she's alive, because she saw her die and not get pulled out of the water. Her visions are subjective, and she reveals that she cannot see the wolves in her visions at all. So that's why she thinks that she wasn't alive. And then Jacob comes in, and he says that he has to see her safe. And then Alice pops up, and then she says, well, I'm not gonna hurt her. And then Jacob says, no, you're just a harmless Cullen. I mean the other vampire that tried to kill Bella because of you. And Alice says, Victoria. And Bella says, yeah, Victoria's been around. And then Alice says, I didn't see her. I didn't see you get put out of the water either. And then Jacob gets pissed. Alice says, I can't see anything past you and your pack of mutts. And Jacob gets pissed off. Really pissed. To where he's going to phase. Because he's shaking just like Paul. So they decide to go to Italy to save Edward from the Volturi, which is kind of rude and wrong because he left her. They go to Italy, and Alice steals a car, a yellow Porsche, and they drive all the way to Italy, and Bella feels her chest hurts, like her heart is getting ripped out of her chest, and she runs through Italy to save Edward, and Edward is underneath the clock tower, and he's about to essentially die, I guess, or sparkle for all to see. And the people that are surrounding the castle are all in red, so Bella asks, why are the people in red? Alice reveals it's the St. Marco's Day Festival, which is named after one of the Volturi. So, she saves Edward from exposing himself. And they go back inside the castle, and the castle doors close. And then we are faced with Felix and Dimitri. Which Dimitri kind of creeps me out because he reminds me of Jasper. And Felix reminds me of Emmett. So they see Jane, and Jane looks pissed off as well. Jane always looks like that, but still. And they follow Jane to the Volturi throne room. And Alex sees Jane first, I guess, or Ariel sees Jane. I don't know. But Alex says, "I send you to bring back 1, and you bring back 2.5, because I don't think Bella's actually human. I don't know." So this is the first time we actually hear Alex speak, which is weird, because this is the first time we actually get to know Alec and Jane, because in the first movie we didn't know Victoria, but I had a sneaky suspicion that they would get involved somehow. Anyway, if you read the books, you know who Jane and Alec are, the witch twins, because Jane has the power of pain illusion, and then Alec has the power of sensory deprivation, which means he can take away your senses with black mist coming out of his hands, I guess. And Otto, he can read people's mind like Edward can, but he can only do it by a single touch. And Edward reveals that. Dimitri, I believe either Dimitri or Felix, I don't know, but one of them is a tracker. I think it's Dimitri. Yeah. So Edward still wants to die because, well, not anymore. He wanted to die because he thought that Bella was dead. So now that he has Bella, he wants to live. And Aro and Caius do not want Bella to live her human life knowing about vampires. So Earl decides to potentially read her mind, and he cannot, because for some reason he cannot read her mind like Edward can't. And Jane's powers does not work either. I don't think any physical power works, which makes it impossible for Edward and Aro and Jane's power to work. But I think Jasper and Alice's powers work for some reason. I don't know. And Dimitri, I don't believe he can track her either. So, all that aside, Aro decides to let Bella become a vampire, which is what she wanted. And Edward does not want that because he wants her to live a normal life. And nothing about her is normal. Not anymore. So, yeah. Alice offers to change Bella herself. And Edward still doesn't want that. So they go home after the Volturi, and Bella's asleep, and she thinks she's dreaming of it all, and everybody's screaming. She thinks she's dreaming of everyone screaming. And Edward says that he's still here and he won't leave her side until she orders him away. And yeah. So they go to the Cullen house, which all the Cullens are back, including Jasper. This is why Jasper is still my favorite character, because he looks at Bella like he wants her, but he doesn't act on it. So, yeah. So she puts it to a vote, and everybody votes yes, but Rosalie and Edward. Rosalie does not want it to happen because she was turned against her will, and she's choosing wrong, and Bella's choosing wrong, and all this. Emmett thinks of Bella as a little sister because Emmett is mentally and physically taller and older. Emmett likes the idea of having a sister around besides Alice. So he agrees and everybody else agrees, I believe, except for Carlisle, Rosalie, and Edward. I'm not sure. But that's where the movie, the movie ends where Edward talks to Jacob in the woods, and he says that he's not going anywhere till Bella orders him to leave, and Jacob is all pissed, and his face is on fly, as the werewolves say, and Bella gets in between them, and she wants all the fighting to stop, and Jacob runs away like a scaredy cat, dog, I don't know. And then then Edward reveals that he's right, and she shouldn't become like him because he believes he's a soulless monster still, and I don't know why. So yeah, marriage, he offers to marry her and then turn her, and then he asks to give her 5 years. He asks to give him 5 years to turn her, and she says that's too long. And then he says then 3, and Bella says, why are you waiting 3 years? You can do it now. And yeah, he doesn't want that. And that was the end of my part 2 of 4 rant videos. So if you like this content, press the like button and subscribe. And don't forget to turn on your post notification bell. If you haven't watched my first rant video, click the link up here. I'll link it up here, and I'll link it down below so you can go see it, or you can click wherever it is to go watch it before you watch this video. Thank you for listening to me rant about the movie that I've seen 100 times, and goodbye.